Show them the picture that you made with a hole in Echo's mouth.
When?
So you could have him love you.
I'm going to cut that part out.
Oh my.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broverwatch podcast. My name is Adam Cook, and as always, I am joined by the boy, the legend, Calder Amos Wood. Calder.
Hi.
Hi. How are you? Whoa. We're like a hive mind. I'll answer first. Bad. I was just on the bus for 40 minutes longer than I needed to be.
You should have killed the bus driver and taken his body down to Missoula.
Yeah, I should have done that. How about you? Now you answer. How are you?
I'm fine. I have test tomorrow. Single test tomorrow.
On what?
Fucking...
Oh, you should be good at that. Got him. Am I right, though? Nah, I'm wrong. Anyway, everybody, This is the Broverwatch podcast, a podcast where two little boys talk about the Overwatch League and discuss it
can we
together.
Talk about something first?
What? Is it
Please
my
don't.
overuse of the word boy?
No, please don't call me a little boy.
All right, we're one little boy and one big boy. Talk about the Overwatch League. And we had a doozy of a week, did we not?
A little bit.
A bit of a doozy of a week.
It was a half doozer.
How
many doozers on a scale from 1 to 10 would you say this is?
This past week, week 3, I'd give it like an 8 doozer.
An 8 doozer? Wow.
Yeah, it was like an 8 doozer for me.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, there were some good times, and we're going to talk about it. I was actually listening to a bit of our podcast from last week where we celebrated having 50 episodes, but we were talking, and you and I were kind of like, we don't really like goats and it's not entertaining. But I was listening back to it and I'm like, yes, it is. It is entertaining.
Goats is entertaining?
Or goats itself isn't entertaining. But we were like, there have been no good games. That is false. A lot of these games have been good. From week 1 till now, there have been some great games. Even though it is goats. There's some
I don't really remember saying that. I think you're just making that up.
Literally listen to the first 10 seconds of the podcast.
Nah.
Last week. Anyway, so what we're going to do this week, rather than go through every single game, because that'll take way too long, and not every single game was good, we're each going to...
Honestly, most of them aren't even worth it, baby.
We are each going to talk about 2 teams. We each have brought 2 teams to the table today. 2 teams to the table with Timmy Boy Tom. TTT. So many T's. So yeah, we've each brought 2 teams to the table today, and we're going to talk about them.
What are you saying right now?
You and I are 2 tall Todds, and we've brought 2 teams to the table today to talk about.
Are you going to be done at some point? Or
Well, I was about to, and then you asked what I was doing, so I had to repeat myself. So we're each gonna... We each have a reason for each team and why we should talk about them and highlight them, and we're going to talk about it, and that's the podcast. New brand, not, it's the same podcast.
Jesus Christ, I don't even know what's happening right now.
So, what's your first team?
Whatever this is?
What's your first team?
First team, I'm going to talk about... Shit, I opened the wrong window. Is the Seoul Dynasty.
Okay.
Now, I'd like to preface this by saying something I wrote out before that has several spelling mistakes in it. Stage 2 meta could shift dramatically if they decide to play on the latest PTR patch. So we're just talking about GOATs right now. And as most of you know, the latest patch is heavily against GOATs. So a lot could change if they decide to play on that in the coming stages.
Mm-hmm.
That said, this bad stage for teams could really ruin their chances of doing well.
Yeah.
So going into Seoul.
What are they doing even? Like, what is happening?
It's almost like
Not good.
they've never really had a good time.
And it doesn't even seem like they're having fun together.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a big problem.
Whenever I've watched them, I'm like, I feel like they're doing this. Like, I know it is their job. But at least, like, you watch other teams and it's like, it's their job, but they enjoy the game and they're having fun.
Yeah.
With
and they're like,
with
oh,
Seoul,
they're all teammates and stuff.
it very much seems like they're all in it for the business, which is weird.
Yeah. Like, they've got 3 superstars. Two of Fleta, Ryu Jaehong, Fissure. 2 of which were MVP candidates last season.
Which 2?
Fleta and Fissure.
Okay.
I
genuinely wasn't sure. I knew Fissure, but I didn't know which of the other 2.
Oh, yeah, Fleta he got a couple votes in there.
No.
He's probably like 7th or 8th, maybe. But they just can't seem to play well, which is a big problem because the point of playing in the league is to do well and then win. But they're not really winning. So it seems like they can't really play GOATs, and there's just some sort of thing that hasn't clicked in their team composition. Now, I looked up some stats to try and further this point. Fissure is 122nd in deaths per 10 minutes, which is like the higher the number is, the higher the amount of deaths, just so everyone knows. He dies first 12% of the time, and he has a 1.19 kill to death ratio. And accounts for 20.5% of the team's deaths. A lot of dying. Okay? You need your main tank to actually be alive.
Important.
It's good to have him alive. And it doesn't really seem like Fissure's staying alive that well. There's about 30 people above him in first deaths, but they're all on not good teams.
Such as?
Washington.
You went with the one safe answer.
Valiant.
Ooh.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Ryu Jaehong, 65th in deaths per 10 minutes. Dies first 8.5% of the time. 0.93 KD. Now, Fissure having a low KD, that's kind of alright. He's a main tank. Ryu Jaehong is playing Zen, which is one of the characters that you kind of expect to get a fair amount of kills. And
I have an opinion on that, which we'll get to in a second.
I know he plays a different style than Jonak and whatever. But he's also a very important part of the team, and he's dying a lot. And it's hard to win, like I said before, when you're dead. What were you going to say about
the Zen thing? I saw a post on this little website called thereddit.com. And someone...
Not called the Reddit.
So they... this post was talking about, can we please stop comparing every single Zen player to Jonak? And they were talking about how, like, anytime any Zen does anything, it's like, oh, bringing out his inner Jonak, or like, oh, here are his stats compared to Jonak, or, ooh, that's something Jonak wouldn't do. And it's like, why can't you just judge them based on their ability? And what you said kind of reminded me of that, because it was like, Zen, before Jonak, wasn't really seen as like the Rambo friggin' Terminator murder machine. And then Jonak blew up and was nuts, and now everyone expects Zens to be crazy good. Like, crazy kill ability.
Yeah. The only thing here is it's it's under 1. So
Yeah.
like he's not even trading his life.
Yeah.
He's just dying.
Yeah.
Then we go on to Fleta, who mainly plays Zarya for them. 60th in deaths, a little better. Best out of the bunch of them.
Mhm.
Dies first 7.5% of the time. Has a 1.67 KD, which, if you think about it in the context of a team fight, feels kind of low because Zarya is the main damage outputter for a GOAT's comp.
Mm-hmm.
And Zarya is also one of the most important pieces in running the GOAT's comp because if a Zarya dies first, whoever Zarya dies first usually loses because they don't really have damage.
5% win rate when Zarya dies first. I think it's actually up to like 7.8% now. Whoa.
And then you've got Munchkin, who dies first 9.5% of the time, and then a 0.87 KD. And this is kind of who Seoul plays all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not doing well.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a loss in team synergy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just seems like Fissure's trying to be more aggressive than
Seoul is
everyone else is
good at doing. Fissure's very aggressive boy, but it seems like Seoul has always been like slow and methodical kind of play style.
Mm-hmm.
Like they go, okay, this is what we're gonna do, Angel. You know what I mean? But then Fissure is just like, let's go.
Right. Yeah.
Which works sometimes, but when you don't have a team behind you that is able to pump your butt with a crazy amount of healing, then it's not gonna work.
Now, here's the weird part. They have a losing record right now, which is...
It is
I think
2-3.
Yeah, 2-3. But they have a 53% win in team fights. Which is strange because that should mean that they're winning, but it's likely that they're just not winning the fights that they need to win to actually win, if that makes sense.
And their map differential is a straight 0 and a sea of red.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not doing absolute trash.
Yeah. It's just they can't seem to win games.
You know that
because they should be higher than 2-3.
You know that Eric Andre meme where he's screaming "Let me in"?
Mm-hmm.
Someone posted that to Reddit with the gate he's trying to get into being playoffs and Seoul being Eric Andre, because that seems to be how it was every stage last season, and it seems to just be repeating itself this season. Is the team cursed?
I don't think so, but maybe. I did put a hex on them at the start of season 1.
But another thing is, everyone still kind of has the lunatic high hype behind them, but there's only one member on there.
Isn't it just Ryu Jaehoon?
Yeah, so it's like people just gotta let go of the fact that that's lunatic high because it's not anymore. It's not.
It's lunatic high in sort
Disguise.
of name, kind of.
So it's like, I think, like, I would love, do Toronto Defiant and Seoul face off against each other this
Not
stage?
this stage.
No. Because that's something I'd be interested to know.
Who's better? Or who, like, performs better?
It would. I think that would just be interesting because Toronto is a full Korean team that, you know, people kind of, I'll talk about this in a sec, but didn't think would be that great and are actually performing quite well. Whereas Seoul is a full Korean team that everyone thought was going to perform great and they aren't.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd find that interesting.
My last thing on Seoul is just looking ahead at this week.
Mm-hmm.
So they played the Justice this week, and then London next week. So the Justice, they should win. If they don't win,
then that tells a lot.
yeah. And then London, probably not. I'd say that's about a 60-40 for London, maybe 70-30.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like they're going to make stage playoffs.
No.
Because they'd have to win both with a fairly large map differential to make it.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe the meta shift's going into stage 2, and Seoul can play their more 2-2-2, where
if Fleta can play Pharah all day, then they win.
Yeah. Like, if you can get Fleta back on DPS, and then Fissure playing as, aggressive monkey again, this team should be okay, but they kind of shouldn't have bet right now. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
And I think you do know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. Why do you think my bed is brown? I have brown sheets. That was a not good joke.
That's disgusting.
That was
Why would you buy brown sheets?
No, it looks.
Is it to mask your shit stains?
It's dark brown sheets with a light brown comforter and then light wood paneling. So I was like, it's got a bamboo jungle vibe,
Also, the Overwatch League website's down.
I'm on it right now.
It's down for me.
It's not down for me. So I win.
Maybe I'm getting cucked.
Speaking of getting cucked, the Houston Outlaws have been getting cucked like crazy, and this all started when the Toronto Defiant faced up against them. Toronto Defiant is the team I'm going to discuss. You probably thought I was going to talk about the Outlaws. All I have to say about them is, please sign Sleepy. That's what I'll say. Because he's not doing jack squat on the...
Did you see there was a clip that was posted on r/cow of Sleepy talking about...
Violet?
Yeah, Violet. And he's like, ooh, more damage, stats. And then I looked at their damage and stats, or deaths and stats and stuff. Violet dies less than 1 time more per 10 minutes, but the Shock have been doing very well.
Yeah, here's the thing. Everyone in the comments of that was like, Sleepy's good, but Violet's better. Stats don't speak to everything, so...
They don't.
Anyway, Outlaw should sign him. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Toronto Defiant because, like I was saying earlier, no one... they're kind of like the weird ones. No one's really talking at all about Toronto ever. Mm-hmm. No one was talking about them preseason.
Is there even a Toronto Defiant subreddit? I know there's a subreddit for most.
Toronto Defiance fans are dedicated. There just aren't much of them. So there probably is one. But, oh, that mechanical keyboard. Boy.
There's 529 subscribers.
That's not bad. But Toronto has always kind of been the afterthought team. No one's really been thinking about them at all. Their logo is cool but generic. Their name is cool but generic. Their color scheme is cool.
Generic?
Sure. But
it's a little generic. It's the same as...
It's pretty much the same as Atlanta. But here's the thing. Everyone, even when we did our power rankings, we ranked them pretty low. I forget where exactly we ranked them, but we ranked them pretty low. And that was because we looked and said, and I quote, it looks like they kind of got a couple B team players from other teams. They got the rejects of some other teams, is what we said.
Yeah.
With Envy and Neko.
I don't think Neko's quite a reject, but Envy kind of was.
Yeah. But anyway, we pretty much said it was the B team and that they were not going to do very well. And then they came out, crushed Houston, and everyone was like, oh, well, maybe they just crushed Houston because Houston always chokes.
It's trash. Oh.
And then they lost to Atlanta, but it was not a stomp. It was pretty close. Then they beat the Valiant. And at the time, everyone thought that was a big surprise. Now looking at it, everyone's just like, Valiant's trash. But
yeah, we'll talk about that a little later.
We'll also talk about Atlanta a little later. Spoiler alert, now you know the whole podcast. And then they took a map from New York, which is when I think people started to pay attention, and then they beat Boston this week.
Which isn't the most impressive win, but it's a win.
It was at the time, which was
when
this
they beat
week.
Boston?
Yes. Because Boston...
Yes, Boston's been pretty good.
People have been looking at Boston in week 1 and 2 as, like, potentially top tier. Like, people were looking at New York, Vancouver, Paris, Boston as the best GOATS teams. And then Toronto...
things have changed.
And Toronto just did a big... I mean, New York and Vancouver still on top, but Toronto kind of just did a big poo-poo on Boston. Boston did not look good.
Yeah.
They literally showed a final blows on aim god stat for Neko, because Neko just kept getting final blows on aim god and then putting down the Boston Uprising spray and teabagging it. And it was amazing.
As a sportsman does.
He did tweet later saying, "I still love all the Boston kids." It was just in good fun.
Didn't he say it was an accident?
Yeah. But here's the thing. He also used the Boston spray in the game against New York. So, like, I think he accidentally hadn't, like, unequipped the Boston spray and realized it in the game against New York.
It's been 8 months.
I know. But, like, I think he just didn't realize it in the New York game and then was like, oh, it would be funny if I used it against Boston. So I believe him that it was an accident, but not in the Boston game. I think he knew well what he was doing. But, yeah, Toronto's...
What?
Me? Toronto's been doing very well, and it's weird. I kind of have... You make fun of me for not committing to one team.
Yeah, because you're a little flip-flop bitch.
But here's the thing. I'll always be dedicated to my Houston boys because I cheered for them last season, and I really just want them to do well, even though things look dire. And I'm loving Atlanta. They're just so fun to watch. They're so fun to watch. I don't know. I don't know what to say other than that.
That little clippy-dippy, over-the-roof graviton surge.
Yeah.
Oh,
And, like, Dogman's trash talking. Did you hear about that?
no.
He yelled during the Paris game after a
yeah.
map. He, like, pulled his mic away and yelled, "Cruz is a feeder!" And then the whole crowd went nuts. And apparently, when they played against Philly and lost against Philly, he, like, Dogman was shaking Neptuno's hand. I forget what he said. I think he said, like, "You're a thrower." Or no. He said, he said, "You just got farmed," is what he said. And Neptuno was like, he lost. So that's respect if he can trash talk when he loses. Anyway, I'm not talking about Atlanta right now.
But...
I think it's just funny. Because trash talking while you lose shows that it's not personal when you trash talk when you win. You know what I mean? But I'm not talking about Atlanta right now. I'm talking about Toronto. But what I was saying is those two were kind of my goes. And I was like, man, I want to cheer for Toronto because, like, we live near Toronto and they're kind of like the most local team. But
you just don't have enough room on your little flippy-floppy little bitch board that you have.
Well, then I was like, they're not going to do very well. So, and now they're doing pretty well. So...
Expert analysis from Adam.
Weren't going to do well?
They're not going to do well, but not to do well.
Not to do well. But the other thing was, I looked at the team and I was like, there's not much personality here. Like, I don't feel like I could fall in love with this team. But watching the games against New York and Boston this week made me realize that the team actually has a lot of personality with Neko and Envy. And, like, Roki is, like... So I think that if Toronto keeps this up, I think they can do it well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
So their games next week are against Chengdu, which should be a win unless Chengdu pulls out some crazy ball. And then against Huangzhou, I'm actually interested to see that. The Spark, because the
Spark have been a weird team.
They're the most middle team, I think. They're the most middle team.
Well, they've had good weeks, and then they've had bad weeks. And it's just been like, who are these? Who's this? What is this team?
I think...
Are they good? Are they bad? Or are they just good enough?
I think playing Gushui, because they did that this previous week, they played more Gushui instead of No Smite, and it proved to be quite good. So, hopefully, with that new...
That's surprising. The
vision.
main tank that carried
the Team China
to the World Cup.
Yeah, but
it's
it's
lost to the Shaw. Get fucked.
But he was kind of just signed on as their like token Chinese player because they're a Chinese team, and then they were like, "Oh wait, he's actually good." So that'll decide a lot too, and those are the last two of their games. So honestly, I see them being in the stage playoffs because they're already
Hangzhou?
No, Toronto.
Oh,
because they face Chengdu and Hangzhou. Those are their only two games, and they're currently in the stage playoffs cutoff.
yeah.
So I see Toronto in the stage playoffs.
The only thing that I tweeted this out today. The only thing that could maybe hurt Toronto is if Paris does well, because they didn't do well last week. But if it's their first week with 2 games, and they're playing 2 hard opponents. So if they do well this week, I think they have a pretty easy week next week.
Yeah.
So
Or no, they don't. It's against Vancouver and San Fran.
no, not like this coming week, but the one after that. They play
Washington and Philly. So yeah, that's
So if they can get through this week like with 1-1, I could see them ending around the same place as Toronto.
1-1. Okay, which of the two do you think they're more likely to beat, Vancouver or Shock?
Probably Shock. You just say things so that you can try and get me to say the Shock are going to lose.
Hey, I was hyping the Shock up all off season, and you got angry at that, and now you're getting angry at me.
I didn't get angry.
Yeah.
I just don't know which team to pick for you.
What do
I
you
don't know
mean?
which team to insult for you. Because there's so many.
3. Also,
I'd have to insult half the league to make a joke at you. I have to go through, oh, you're a Guangzhou fan now? Oh, do you like the Philadelphia Fusion? Is Space your new favorite player?
It's no, you're the Space fanboy. If there's anyone who's a Space fanboy. Anyway, it's almost like I just it's almost like oh my god.
His first name's Indy, like Indiana Jones.
Anyway, it's almost like I just enjoy watching the game. So what's your second team? What's your second team?
Oh, we done with Toronto?
Yeah. I just think they're going to do pretty well.
They're a good team. I think they're a stubborn middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Like higher middle of the pack team.
Mm.
Anyway, my second team is the Valiant. Oh, disgusting is what I would say.
It's a big
How do you go from finishing top 4 in 3 stages and going to the playoffs to literally not winning a game?
Being the top in your division.
Yeah. To not winning a game
after
and having a worse record or an equal record to the Washington Justice. A team that is really bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My nose is stuffy.
It's all good. Yeah.
They look lost. Kind of. Just like the Justice do. But here's the thing. Izayaki is amazing. He's been one of the best Zens in the league statistically and kind of teamwork-wise too. Agilities has equal stats to a Zen player, but he's playing Brigitte, and it's very impressive. Like, he has 10,000 healing per 10 minutes, which is insane.
Yeah.
There's not really another Brigitte player that does that.
And they have supposedly one of the best tank lines in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
it doesn't seem like those two can really play goats. Like, it seems like Fury's a little too aggressive too.
Fate.
Kareev also gets his grabs eaten quite a bit. Like another man. we might mention on this podcast, named Sinatra. He gets his grabs eaten sometimes.
Every time.
This team went from being one of the best teams in the world, having one of the best tank lines in the world, to being just trash, kind of.
Yeah, it's interesting how they were a top team known for having a great tank line, and now there's a tank-centered meta, and they're bad.
Yeah. And then we also... Oh, fuck, what was I going to say?
They play Kuki over Custa a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's weird. And they said that Custa's too big brain for goats. Don't know what that means.
Custa's just too busy doing his news show on their YouTube channel.
Custa has to research a news. Who says that? Stupid. So they play the Fusion in Houston this week. 2 games, one of which
is a gimme.
they have no. One of which they have a higher chance of winning, but still there's a chance they just don't win either.
Yeah.
And that's their last 2 games of the stage. And that means they basically kind of fucked themselves for playoffs.
Yeah.
Because they've lost 7 games if they lose these 2. Which is a quarter of the season.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. Like, I'm assuming they're going to have to be...
Can I make
above...
a prediction right now?
Yeah.
They've already lost more games than New York will lose all season. And I'm going to guess Vancouver as well.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with that. And I'm assuming that you'll need at least a 2 or 3 wins above 500 record to make it into the playoffs, like, firmly, not like sneak in like the Shock could have last year.
Or the Houston could have.
Yeah. Like, I just don't really see a road for this team to...
Valiant's only
well.
chance is to maybe barely squeeze into the wild card.
Mm-hmm. And that's
pretty much.
That's basically barring a meta change. Like,
oh yeah,
meta would have to change for that to happen because I don't think they're winning.
Well, here's
that
the thing.
many games in a goat-centered.
If
meta.
this upcoming patch makes it a little more DPS centric, because what I've heard a lot of pros saying is it's lessening the power of goats, but goats is still good. It's like still an option, which I think is perfect because you don't want to just eliminate goats because
yeah,
I think it's nice to have that as a possible, like as an option, but just it's the only option right now, kind of.
Yeah.
So I think Valiant could prosper in a more DPS centric meta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing with that though is like they don't really have one of the best DPS cores in the
agility's
league.
good. KSF, we've heard he's good, but we haven't really seen it.
He hasn't really played.
And then Kareev, we don't really know how he is at DPS currently.
I believe he was at DPS before, but...
Yeah, but like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And KSF has only played 28 minutes, that's good. Because that really tells you a lot. Play more, idiots. I'm sorry, I got angry there.
It's okay that you got angry. Yeah, I think the Houston Valiant game will likely be close. The Philly Valiant game might be close, but I could also just see it being a Philly sweep. The thing is, Jane was kind of right when he said Philly sucks at goats, but Philly makes up for it in just being good in general.
Yeah.
Because they're just skilled in general, so they may not be great at goats, but they can force a win by just being good in general. So there's a possibility that Valiant goes winless in stage 1.
Yeah.
Which, let me quickly check the Washington Justice. What games do they have left? They face...
The Washington Justice aren't going to win a game.
They face Seoul, Paris, and Florida. maybe Florida. But yeah.
Did the Valiant lose to Florida? Or have they played them yet?
I don't think so.
Give me like 30 seconds to click around this website.
Valiant has played Hangzhou, New York, Toronto, Vancouver, Guangzhou. Here's the thing. They also had a tough stage, I think.
Hangzhou, Vancouver, Toronto, Guangzhou. Yeah.
They faced New York and Vancouver. We were just talking about how Toronto's proven themselves. Hangzhou was very strong off the bat, and Guangzhou has proven to be kind of an underrated team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, kind of a tough
still,
stage.
like, they were... This isn't where they were projected to be. Like, they were projected to be among those teams.
Yeah.
Not the worst one in the league.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the Vancouver and New York loss, but you could have squeaked out the Guangzhou one.
Yeah.
They did go to 5
or
maps.
the Toronto one, or the... Yeah. Valiant just seemed to be lost.
Yeah. And who's going to find them? I don't know. Maybe Baptiste.
Most people are pronouncing it Baptiste, but then Jeff pronounced him Batiste.
Yeah.
It's like, but then how do I plural Batiste? Batiste.
Why you have to plural it?
If I'm saying Batiste's gun. Hey, can you watch out for Batiste immortality field?
Why don't we just call him Baptizer? Because he baptizes you in immortality.
Are people just going to call... Here's the thing, you can't even just call him Bap, because apparently the P is silent, so it would just be Ba. So you just go Batiste. I'm just going to call him Batiste. Like Batista, Dave Batista.
Yeah.
I'll just call him Batiste.
Groot? No, not Groot.
Drax.
Yeah, Drax. Groot's Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's Vin Diesel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon is Bradlam Cooped.
What a fucking weird career Vin Diesel has, huh?
He's a weird guy. Yeah, I feel
we
so
should watch
bad
his
for
Facebook
Valiant.
Lives.
No, never.
Hey guys, I'm doing a live.
Hey guys, I'm doing a live.
Oh, what were you saying? And then he puts his phone in his pocket.
How can you forget that quick that you're live streaming?
Bradley
Hey guys,
Cooper
I'm
comes over,
live
he's like,
streaming. What'd you say?
Oopsies.
Immediately puts it in his pocket.
And then pulls it out. You guys have been on this whole time. They know that they've been on this whole time, Vin Diesel.
That's why they're watching. That's why you've gained more viewers, because the fact that they're in your pocket is more interesting than...
14,000 stay-at-home moms are watching you right now.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna
Valiant... yeah, you can go do that.
You,
Mute yourself so that we don't hear that disgust. Yeah, Valiant, it sucks. I feel bad for them. But, like, I feel bad for them, but it gets to a point where it's like, something has to be going on that makes it kind of like your own fault. So there's some sort of management or coaching or, you know, because it hasn't seemed like everything's being pinned on one player. Don't. Why? Disgusting. For you audio listeners, you are lucky. Anyway.
Watch the video.
But yeah, I feel bad for the Valiant.
My snot was as clean as the River Nile.
Oh, never again. All right, I'm going to talk about my next team.
Who are they, Adam? Are they a team that you're going to fanboy over?
Oh, yeah, baby.
Are they a team that has a player that you like a lot?
Yeah, baby. Multiple, actually.
Are they a team that chiropractors hate because of their posture?
One of them. A lot. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Atlanta Reign. Atlanta, I was hyping up a little bit before the season. I was like, I think they're going to be better than people think they're going to be. And you told me, Adam...
No, we ranked them the same.
Yeah, I know. I know. But there were people on Reddit telling me that DeFran wasn't even going to get playtime because he's just a meme. And I'm like, are you dumb in the brain? And here's the thing. I thought maybe it was just going to be one person telling me this and they were just uninformed. I had like 14 people tell me that.
Yeah. It's like people act like he's not
actually
amazing at the game.
It's like
even
it's like when
without the game sense, he's amazing.
It's like Agreed. It's like when XQC goes to the World Cup and everyone's like, why is XQC there? He's just a streamer. He's not that good. And it's like, no, he is good. It's just he's also loud, right?
He likes to yell on his stream.
Yeah. So I think people really underestimated Dufran, and then I also think people were so preoccupied with focusing on Dufran that they didn't realize that the other components of the team are very good. I know Sideshow, when he did his power rankings, his main focus for putting them lower was because of communication, which clearly doesn't seem to be an issue.
Yeah. And they've gotten better as the weeks have gone on.
Yeah. Apparently they just stick to keywords. In an interview, Dufran was asked what the weirdest keyword is, and he just said spicy and then laughed. But they clearly have some sort of communication thing going on. They just always look like they're having so much fun. Like,
if you want to go back to Seoul for a little bit, this is what they don't look like.
Yes.
It looks like Fissure's there, and after the game, he yells at everyone and says, "You guys were bad. I'm too good for you guys."
Yeah. That's
what Seoul looks like.
Yeah.
Fissure, if you'd like to come on the podcast and talk about it, I would appreciate it.
They are polar opposite teams. Because I know in the first week, I was afraid, and I know a lot of other people were afraid, that this was just going to turn into Dufran team. And it's like, this is the Dufran team, and none of the other players are ever going to get any spotlight. They're never going to be talked about. Everyone's just going to be like Dufran. And if they ever don't play Dufran for a map, everyone's going to bail and not like the team anymore.
Yeah.
But then this week, especially, kind of last week a little bit as well, but this week specifically, they kind of distanced themselves from that idea. Yeah. Because not only did Massa win player of the match, because Massa is crazy. He's crazy boy. But also, they pulled Dufran for Anubis. And I tweeted about this. I forget whether it was on my account or the Broverwatch account.
It was on yours, I think.
But I tweeted about how it was very encouraging to see him get pulled for a map, and then Atlanta still win the map and do really well without Dufran. Because it shows that they are a team and they don't need him. Obviously, he's a key member of the team, but they don't need him to succeed. But also, it was cool to see the chat freak out as soon as he was subbed out and go, no Dufran, no win, and freak out and just spam no for the first 5 minutes maybe. And then it was just people cheering for their team. Maybe it's because those people left. I don't know. I hope not. But I think that was a good call. And yeah, they've been doing very well. They have only one loss. It was against Philly, and that was a close game. And their only games left are against Gladiators, who have been not great. Chengdu, which are mid to bottom tier team, and then Houston, who are also mid to bottom tier, as much as I hate to say it. So honestly, if I was to make a predicky, it would be that they win the last 3 games and they stay in their number 3 spot. Unless, actually no, they'd stay in their number 3 spot because San Francisco's lost 2 games already. So yeah.
Yeah, unless Vancouver or New York lose.
Yeah.
Which I don't really see Vancouver losing.
What are Vancouver's games? Let's check this.
They've got a Chengdu game, Paris.
Chengdu, Paris, and Guangzhou. Yeah, I see them winning all 3.
And then New York. New York will have they have kind of a tough week, right? If I remember this correctly.
It's their only game left is the Shock.
Oh, right, yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to say that's about a 70-30 for New York.
Yeah.
They're going to win.
Although I have some confidence in San Francisco because Super was streaming with Dante and they were doing a VOD review of the New York versus Houston game. And Super was getting really mad at Dante being like, why are you so scared of this team? And that makes me hope that the Shock are not scared of New York. Because I think
Here's
that
the
a
thing.
lot of New York losses are just because people are like, oh, we're facing New York.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Super can't be doing what he's been doing for these last couple of weeks against New York, though.
No, it's been
Losing
working against
Shatter.
the other teams.
Yeah, he's hitting shatters right into their other shields. He's kind of just charging in, and he dies. Now, here's the thing. I love Super. He's on my team. I don't have to love him because
You don't have to love anyone.
no one cares what team I like. But I like him because he's on the Shock. I know that they can maybe pull out a 5th map win on this, and that's what I want. Okay?
Yeah.
No one tell me otherwise. I don't know what you would tell me, but don't.
Now,
Ow.
his stats in the overall league.
Is this Super?
Yeah. So we'll get back to talking about Atlanta in a second, but aren't the greatest. 26th in damage. 18th.
That's actually, for a Rhine, that's really good.
Yeah. 99th in deaths. That's the bad part.
Yeah. Better than Fissure, though. Yeah, better than Fissure.
68th in eliminations and 18th in final blows. But here's the thing. You and I watched a game with Super. I think it was against... Who was it against?
Hangzhou?
Hangzhou. No, we watched against the Titans, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think that's wrong.
And we were watching and we were like, oh boy, all he's doing is shattering into shields, charging in and dying. But then this past week, against Washington and Hangzhou, his damage was through the roof. And he was doing really well. But
Vancouver and New York are more alike than New York and Hangzhou are alike, or New York and Washington.
Yeah. So hopefully he can have some patience. Although maybe New York needs someone to push up against them because nobody really does. Everyone kind of just falls over and dies to them.
See.
So we'll see.
We'll see this week. But I'm worried. I thought they were going to do their rotation so they could specialize Smurf and Super on different maps, but it doesn't seem like they want to do that. I haven't seen Smurf in a while.
It was working the first couple of weeks. Hopefully they pull something ahead because I want Shock to do well as much as I hate you. I'm joking. As much as what I meant to say was as much as I don't want you to be happy.
Well, you said what you meant to say.
No? We'll talk after the podcast. No, I'm joking. Wow.
No, we won't.
Anyway, back to Atlanta. I think that they're going to win their last 3 games, if I had to make a prediction. And I think that they're doing very well. I'm pretty sure their stage 2 is significantly tougher. Actually, I'd say it's almost easier. Oh wait, no. They face New York twice? What?
Oh yeah, some people face.
Yeah, they face New York twice in stage 2. So that's no good. Other than that though,
they also play London, can be a really good team sometimes.
Yeah. London maybe, Boston is a soft maybe, and then Valiant, Washington, Guangzhou's a maybe.
And the thing with looking ahead is we don't know.
Yeah,
the meta will really
we don't know what the meta will be. But
hopefully they play on the newest patch because that'd be more fun than not.
Good call. But yeah, I think Atlanta's in a good spot. I'm really happy that they're doing well because they're doing well while having fun. Massa said in an interview this week that if we don't know what we're doing, there's no way the other team can know what we're doing. And I'm like, yeah. So
I also like that they admitted to using a Reddit play in an Overwatch League game.
It's funny because the Friends play was on ESPN and stuff like that, and he's getting so much coverage for this play, and then everyone's like, I wonder if the guy who posted that on Reddit's really upset that his play to Fran's getting all the credit. Anyway, so looking at the current standings, New York, I think, they've already clinched the stage playoff spot, and
I think so.
And the Valiant can't get it. Nice. Vancouver.
Sorry. Just my Magnum condoms for my Monster Dong.
Vancouver, Atlanta, San Fran, and probably Guangzhou. I don't really see any scenario where they miss stage playoffs. Maybe Guangzhou and Philly.
Yeah, well, San Fran has 2 pretty tough games this week. That's the thing. They have New York and Paris, so if Paris plays well, it could be kind of a yikes.
That is true.
And then, that's their last 2 games, so they just need to close out this week and hopefully do well. Guangzhou, I think, is actually kind of a lock to get in.
Philly probably as well.
Yeah.
And then Defiant and Spitfire, I could see them both dropping out, but I think they have a chance of staying in.
I don't have a lot of faith in Paris right now because they've only played 1 game a week for this entire stage, and they're playing their first 2 games a week against the Shock and I keep forgetting shit. I'm so old. The Shock in Vancouver, 2 games that are very easy to lose, especially the Vancouver one.
Yeah.
So
they've got to not play how they played against Atlanta.
Yeah, because how they played against Atlanta was not good.
It was all bad.
Granted, Atlanta did play well. A lot of key boops, a lot of good disruption that they had, and a lot of crazy strats. But yeah, it was just kind of a yikes.
It was a big ol' yikes. Yeah. And then, honestly, there's no real way to predict what's going to happen in Stage 2. We have no idea. I hope the meta shifts. I hope it doesn't, flop over and, there's 0 goats. Because, here's the thing. I do enjoy watching goats. I just don't enjoy watching only goats. So
yeah,
I just want to see some DPS, because I'm talking about another Reddit post, but that bird in Angry Birds where you shoot him and then you tap again and he flips around.
Fuck?
The green one, big beak.
Sure.
So someone put text over the bird soaring, and it was team playing DPS. And then it showed it once you tap again and it swings around, and it was going back to spawn to switch to goats, which has been almost every game.
Who's letting 12-year-olds create memes?
Anyway, everybody, thank you for watching this episode of the Broverwatch podcast. We hope you enjoyed your stay. Be sure to check out our website at thebroverwatch.com. Yeah, come again. If you want, if you can.
Let's go again.
We go again, boys. You can follow me on Twitter at I'm a Dumb Cook, and follow Calder on Twitter at Calder_100. All of our other social links are in the description and on our website, so be sure to check those out. We'll see you next week. We hope you had a good one.
Bye.
Bye.